Okay, there are a lot of reasons I'm excited for today's episode and today's guest. One of the top ones is because I usually change out of my workout clothes for recordings, and today I'm staying right in them because I have my run coach, my favorite podcast host, one of my favorite follows on Instagram, and so much more. Victoria Seckley, welcome to Seeing Other People.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I'm like so excited to chat. I feel like we know each other outside of the like Instagram world too, but it's still really cool to do stuff like this
A
together.
100%. And I feel like we've also known each other in different capacities, like
Yeah.
over the years. Like at first, you were just like Kerwin's husband's best friend's wife, who they hang out with sometimes. And then Kerwin was like, "Yeah, like me and Via become good friends. Like, come hang out with us." And then like we've gotten lunch, and like we've had similar stressors about social media, and now you are like my lifeline when it comes to running. um,
Please. Love it.
so there's so much for us to talk about. As much as I want to talk about running this entire time, that's not what we do here. That's why
Let's
I
not
listen.
talk about running the
That's
entire
why I
time.
listen to Train Smart Run Strong. But I am really excited. I feel like there's so much about you, about your life, that I think the listeners will find really interesting, really insightful, really valuable. So excited to get into all of it. To start, can you, in your own words, like if what's your elevator pitch that you would give somebody
Like about myself or my
about
profession?
yourself? Both about yourself, like because it's funny. Like
Hmm.
you ask someone, like, "Oh, like who are you?" And it's like you start
Yeah.
reading off your resume, but like, who
Yeah.
are you?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to try and make it more like who I am as a person and less about profession because kind of like what you just said, I talk about running all day long.
Hmm.
And we can talk a little bit about running, but like I would like to not make this
We're
about
not.
running.
It's
Just
not.
yeah, we're not. This is
It's
just
not.
like life stuff. So my elevator pitch. Ooh, I who am I? Who am I? I think I'm someone who I value my friendships, but I don't have very many friends. Um, I am a huge dog mom. I make that like a big part of my personality. Um, and I'm someone that this is like hard. This
I
is
know.
really hard.
It's really hard. But I'm loving everything you're saying, and I kind
Yeah.
of wish this was something I asked every guest. But then
Yeah.
it's so hard.
Yeah. I don't even know if I'm like answering this
You are.
properly. But this is also something about me is I think one of my most favorite things to do is to talk and to connect with people. And I
Mhm.
think that's what led me to my profession. But it goes so much deeper than that. Like I really, when I spend time with people, I do like to go deep and I don't shy away from conversations. I don't shy away from confrontation either. And I see that as like a major point in just like my relationship with my husband, my relationship with my friends. Um, but I also let go of things really easily. Like really easily, probably too easily. Like I'll like have something brewing on my mind until I can talk about it with someone. And then once I said my piece, I'm like, okay, we're good. Like I'm good now.
You know what, though? I think that's a happier way to live your life.
Maybe.
Maybe not.
Maybe. Yeah, I could probably bring it up with my therapist, but yeah, I think a lot of that is also just born. We can go into this further, but like a lot of that is just kind of how I was raised too. My parents, both of them, don't shy away from conversations, but my dad especially is very confrontational. Um, and we butt heads a lot about a
Mhm.
lot of different things. And I think that was just like a survival technique. Like we butt heads, and literally the only way to move forward is to just be able to brush it off because
Which
otherwise I'd be crying for years.
it's so funny because I feel like families are like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't have a sister, but I feel like I hear a lot about this in a sisterly way where it's like you and your sister can be screaming at each other one minute
Yeah.
and then like you're like cuddling on the couch the next, like
Yep.
thanking each other for being in your lives, and like you just kind of move forward. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you growing up, you were a competitive tennis player,
Mm-hmm.
and your dad was your coach, right?
He wasn't my coach, but he was like a pretty pivotal person in terms of like he organized my lessons with coaches. He was there for like a lot of my practices. Um, yeah, he was like probably the biggest, most influential piece in my tennis in like not the best way, but also without him, it wouldn't have happened, which I'm to this day being like, would I have been better, a better person, a happier person if it didn't happen? Possibly. But I also don't want to like regret one of the biggest things in my life.
Mhm.
So that's like the constant battle that I have in my mind.
I imagine it's also part of the reason why you do what you do now, as
Mm,
a physical therapist. Like, you're working with people with injuries, you're working with competitive athletes all the time.
mhm.
And because you were one, you have a deeper understanding of what that's like.
Yeah, I think in good ways and bad.
Mm.
The reason I became a physical therapist is actually more so because my entire family is in healthcare and medicine. My dad is a general physician, my mom's a pharmacist, my sister's a psychologist. I went to college not knowing what I wanted to do, except I only had one career path that I thought was an option for me, which was med school.
Mhm.
And I, through my transformative years in college, realized like, wait, my dad doesn't control every aspect of my life. I could probably choose something else, but I didn't know what else there was. Like, I
Mhm.
literally I didn't know any other option. And that's how physical therapy made itself an option because I was like, yep, still in the healthcare field, has something to do with sports. All right, I guess it's that. It's
Sign
either
me
that
up.
or med school, and I sure don't want med school. So, yeah, it was, and obviously, like, very happy with where I am today. I can't imagine doing anything else, but like, I had no idea that there were like finance jobs available. I literally had no idea. It was like, and I didn't know anything about being a lawyer or anything like that. So it was like one option, the only thing that my family talks about. Like, you can even ask my husband when we go home. He's like, "Can you guys like stop talking about like medical stuff as if everyone knows what you guys are saying? Like, it's just not normal to be like
That's
this."
so funny.
So,
I feel like I
yeah.
wonder how many people would relate to like not knowing there were other things out there, because even for me, like, I knew I wanted to go to like a communications school, but I
Cool.
remember my high school boyfriend would like push this to me and every single day be like, "But what is communications?" every day. And I'm like, I don't know, but it's what I'm going to do. And then
Yeah.
when I got there, I had my major. I liked my major, and I had to choose a minor in something else because they want to teach you
Mm,
how to communicate about something. So you have to pick
mm.
a minor. It can't be in the same school within the university.
Oh,
And
interesting. That's cool.
yeah, so I was like, "Oh, well, I'll just be a psych minor because like everyone's a psych minor, right?" And I ended up realizing like, so my number one like end all be all passion in the world at the time was music, a la Jonas Brothers. And
Mm.
I'm looking at the list of minors that I could choose, and there's one called music business. And I'm like, whoa, wait a second.
My
Right.
worlds.
That
Yeah.
there is a music industry. People work in this thing. Why
Right.
it never
Yeah.
occurred to me until that point that that was like a path that you could go down. And similar, like, I mean, my dad worked in finance, but like there are a gajillion and one jobs in
Right, like, what
finance.
is that word? Like, I
And
still don't know what that
to
word
this
is.
day, it's like, oh, what did your dad do? Finance? I don't know.
Right, right, that's what I say about my husband. I, like, had to memorize his job title because I was like, I can't explain it to
Yeah.
someone, like
Yeah. I feel like
yeah.
that is all too relatable. Okay. How did you and your husband meet?
So, we actually met at the physical therapy clinic that I first worked at, that was my first job. So, he had a hip injury, um, I mean, he won't be mad at me saying it, but he had, like, hip surgery for labral tear. Um, he's gonna listen to this and be like, HIPAA violation. No, I'm kidding. No, so he had a hip labral repair surgery, and my boss was she was his PT.
Okay.
So when I first started working, because I'm Canadian and we're in the US where I currently live, I was in between like a student visa and a work visa. So when I first started at my first job, once I passed my boards and everything, I couldn't technically work there. But because it was my first job and I would go back and tell myself, what the heck are you doing? Like working for free. But like I wanted to be like, showing up, and like because my work visa hadn't come through yet, I was technically supposed to start on that day. I couldn't get paid for it, but I was like, I'll show up and like do what I can. So my boss just kind of had me like talk to the patients and like kind of, learn some things from her and just like learn how the clinic is working, because I couldn't actually like build my caseload because I didn't have a technical work visa yet.
Mm-hmm.
So one of her patients was my husband, and she was like, why don't you just like go follow him for his exercises and like make sure he's doing them correctly. And he hates the story, but I love this story so much because I tell it in a very different way than he does. He was doing an exercise and he was wearing Lululemon sweatpants. And I was like, oh, love your sweatpants. Like, very cool. They're chic, And he was like, oh, thanks. Like, my sister got them for me. She gets a discount at Lululemon because she's the tennis coach at BU.
Oh my God.
And immediately in my mind, I was like, wait, I know your sister. And I just like said I was like, your sister's blank. And he was like, what? Like, what?
That's
How did
crazy.
you get? Because the tennis world is very small, and like I knew who the tennis coach was at BU, and I knew his last name from like looking at his chart and like knowing what exercises he had to do. So I just like put two and two together. And his sister's best friend was my roommate in college.
No way.
And like I had known her, like we had been at tournaments together, just like in the junior scene, just because tennis is pretty small. And so like immediately when I figured that out, I was like, wait, you're like not a random person in New York City that I'm talking to. Like I know your family. Like I literally know your family. And I know them especially because my roommate was best friends with you and we've like Skyped before, like all of this stuff. So once that happened, like I was more open to like actually talking with him and being like, what's going on? Like, what's your sister doing? All of that stuff. And he took it as an opportunity to like get my number and like all of that stuff. And then, one thing led to the next. He texted me, we went on a date, all of that stuff. So, but yeah, that's how it started. And I thought it was pretty like random and serendipitous, but kind of fun.
Was any part of you nervous that you weren't allowed to get this person's number, to give your number
1,000%.
to him?
I literally didn't tell my boss for like 6 months.
Oh my God.
Because I was nervous that like, number one, I just started working there. And like, he's a patient. He's not my patient, but he's a patient.
A patient.
And technically you could technically date your patient. Like that has happened. And I've also seen PTs date their student like before. So like everything's a little bit
that feels
iffy.
A little more extreme.
It does, but I was really nervous because this is my first job, and I didn't want to tell her unless like I knew we were like actually seeing each other. Like I wasn't going to tell her like, hey, I'm going on a date tonight with your patient. Like that's so
it was he was coming in, and you guys were just like,
I was ignoring him.
Oh wow,
I literally ignored him. Yeah, he was like, you were cold-blooded. I was like, I literally wouldn't speak to you and look at you. Like, and he was like so concerned. He literally was like, she doesn't like me. Like, I don't really know. But I was really nervous. Like, I didn't want it to be, I didn't want to feel like I was doing something wrong, even though I technically wasn't.
Right.
But it just felt, when you're young, it's the first job. Like, it's like, I'm literally there for a couple weeks and I start dating a patient. Like, that's crazy.
So funny.
So yeah, so once I was like, oh, like I can actually see myself with this person for a longer time, I, told her in her office, and she was like actually really happy because she really liked him as a patient. She liked me, and she was very supportive. So
that's great.
It ended up not being a big deal at all.
And at the end of the day, you're like, hopefully, correct me if I'm wrong, but hopefully the place you are going to PT, your physical therapist, that's temporary. The goal is to get better and leave.
Right. It's temporary. Exactly. It's not like you're like a long-term client. And again, like he wasn't my patient. So like
Right.
it wasn't, it's like he could come in and like he would be there when I'm not even there because you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
it was still weird, but yeah, I mean he was literally there for the first 5 months of me working there, and I worked there for 5 years. So like it
Wow.
was such a blip in, you know.
How was it? Because you were young. This is first job out of college, right out of college. You meet this guy.
No, out of grad school. So
Just kidding.
PT is 3 years of grad school. So
Yep. Makes
I
sense.
think, how old am I now? How long have I known him? We met in early 2017,
Okay.
like probably like December 2016. So, oh my God, I can't do math, but I'm 34 now.
26.
Whatever that was.
27.
26 or 27.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. At what point did this go from like, okay, this is somebody that, I'm dating and that I like and see a future with, to somebody who, okay, no, I am planning my future with this person. This person is my future.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think my husband and I are both really similar in the sense that like we have never really been into like the traditional type of relationship status. Like and it'll make more sense as we like go along the timeline of a relationship, but like I've never really been the type of person to like date someone, be like I'm going to marry them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I actually remember someone asking me like after we'd been dating for a year, like, are you gonna marry this person? I was like, I don't know. Like I've always said that. And I actually remember that person coming back after I married my husband. He was like, oh, like you said that you didn't know. I was like, yeah, at that time I didn't know. That
Which
doesn't mean like
honestly,
you know what
a
I mean?
year in, you're
Right.
still getting to know somebody you shouldn't know a year
Right.
in.
And to this day, I still look back on that. I'm like, it's weird if I had said like, yes, 100%, I'm going to marry this person. Like
Right.
and not to say that I was sitting there thinking I'm not going to marry him. It's just, I don't think like that's not how I'm thinking things. Like I really like him. We're extremely compatible. We actually like, if I wasn't Canadian, and this is, people are going to laugh because it sounds like we had a green card wedding, but like in many ways we did, because if we lived in the same country, I'm not even sure if we would get married if not for tax benefits, because like we just don't give a shit about that stuff at all. At all. So, and we can go through this. Like my wedding wasn't like, I had a very low key small wedding, rented an Airbnb with like 20 people. I wore jeans. Like I have never dreamt about my wedding day. I've never dreamt about my wedding dress. Like I just have never, it's never been something. If anything, I'm more of a cynical person, being like, weddings are like a way to scam people into like getting the biggest rings and spending the most amount of money possible. Mm-hmm. So like that's kind of how I've been. And I've been to a lot of really freaking fun weddings, and I want people to do what they want. It's just never been for me.
Why do you think that is?
I think a lot of it is like, I don't know. I think that I just don't really love the idea of wedding culture. My mom is really like, she's really chill. She's really like, I think it has something to do with also me not wanting to have kids. Like I have never wanted to be like like I don't follow tradition. I actually prefer like progressing. I think when like yes, there are certain things that are cool to have as traditions, but like I don't need to stay in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't even feel like I need to honor the past really with like a lot of things. I just like, if things change, they change. And as we move forward, like things changing can be good. And that's always how I've thought. So I've never really stuck as like, this is a tradition. This is what's cool. I'm going to answer your question here because I think it just came to me now. My parents are also Hungarian, like born and raised in Hungary, lived there until they were 30. And like, it is also a different culture there. Like weddings aren't really that big of a deal. It's not like they spend a ton of money on rings and things like that. Like it's just a little bit different than it is here and in Canada and like in I guess like Western culture. So that's maybe also how I was raised. Like my parents never really thought that that was a big deal to begin with. So I don't know. That's just kind of how I was raised with
Right.
that
You're
idea.
like a 5-year-old being told like one day you're going to get a big white dress and walk
Yes.
down the
If anything,
aisle.
my mom said the opposite. If anything, my mom was like, never put your trust in a man,
Oh my
have your
God.
own money. Yes, she's like, that's you hit the nail on the head. That's how my mom is. Like, my mom is very much like, you don't need a man. You are good by yourself. Don't think about weddings. Like, don't think about anything. Like, be independent, do your own thing, all of that stuff. And like, we can go into how her marriage is very much like that because like she has a traditional marriage. Like, she doesn't really work. My dad makes most of, the money. And I think she also didn't want that for us too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a little bit of that was like, you don't like, she like cooks for him every single day, does his laundry, like all of that type of stuff. And from the beginning, I mean, she would even tell him she would still do it, but she would tell him like, I don't have to make you this sandwich. And my sister
I'm
and I were
doing
like,
it because
we
I
don't have
choose
to
to.
cook for men. We don't
Free
have to.
will.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
So
so
we were kind of
funny.
raised like that. Yeah.
I for so long I kept hearing like trad wife TikTok, like trad wife this, and I didn't know what that meant. And
Yeah.
now I'm like, oh, traditional wife. Like,
Traditional.
that's what that
Yeah.
means. And I
Mhm.
understand it. But in my mind, the phrase trad wife sounded more like edgy, not traditional.
Right.
Like
Right.
badass. Like I don't know why.
I know
Like
what you're
something
saying.
about the
Yeah.
word trad just made
Yeah.
me think of like a rap song.
Yeah, that's fair. I can see
Yeah.
that. No,
Uh,
yeah, I think it makes
okay.
sense.
You mentioned that you knew you didn't want kids or that you don't want kids. Did you one day, wake up and realize I don't want kids? Have you always not wanted kids? Or was it like a decision that you made? How did that come into play in your
I
life?
thought I wanted kids for like my whole life until a couple years ago.
Wow. Okay.
But when you ask me, did I actually want kids? It was more just like saying, like, oh yeah, when I'm 30, I'll have kids. When I'm
Mhm.
32, I'll have kids. Like, it wasn't like I want a child. It was like, yeah, when I'm like older, I'll have kids. You know what I mean? Like, it was very much like, sure, once I'm married, once I feel stable in my profession, all of that stuff, like, sure, that's what's going to happen. My husband and I, on our first date, that might be wrong, maybe a couple dates in, he shared with me that he might not want kids. And I literally told him, well, like, that won't work out because I want kids.
Dun, dun,
and
dun.
he was like, okay, like, I'm not really set on not having kids, so like, this is not a deal breaker. And for me, I think like subconsciously I was like, well, like, it's not really a deal breaker for me if he doesn't want kids either. Like, it wasn't really one of the most important things in either of our lives. So it was just kind of like, okay, we'll talk about this if it happens to come up later on. Like, sure, that'll be a conversation that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Then, as the years progressed, I would say like, oh, like, I want to have kids by the time I'm 32, like, putting that kind of timeline on myself. Then COVID hit. And then we did something that I have always wanted to do since I was literally out of the womb. My parents will call this an obsession. I was obsessed with dogs since the moment that I was born. I ran around the house acting like a dog. I would literally bark and run around on all fours. Begged my parents to get me a dog. I remember like in my early years, one of my friends got me like the big book of dog breeds.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I would literally in bed, like, spend time memorizing them, studying. Like, I've always been obsessed with dogs. That's just been something. Every time I see a dog, I stop, like, point it out, whatever. And I didn't know when or if I would have kids, but I knew that a dog would be in my life. And I also knew enough to know that like, I can't have a dog in my life when I'm like 23, like, going
Right.
out, all of that stuff. So like, yeah, I didn't get a dog until my
You
husband
waited
and I
till it
met,
made
and
sense. Yeah.
we waited until it made sense. I also, like, as a PT, working in outpatient PT, having a roommate that wasn't like, I'm not going to share a dog with my roommate. Like, that was just weird. I was like, I can't bring a dog into this situation. Like, it just never fit. But that was always something that I knew without a freaking doubt in my mind that I was going to have a dog and multiple dogs in my future. Like,
Like
I was,
on that date, if he had said like I,
if
you
he
know,
was not a dog person, it would be a deal
if he
breaker.
was like I don't really want kids, but I definitely don't want a dog, you would have been like, okay,
That would be it.
bye.
That would be it.
Yeah.
That if this, and think this is really funny because like my husband and I are different for many reasons, but we do have a lot of the same interests and passions. And so like one of the biggest green flags with him is that every time we would walk on the street, he would point out the dog. And he would
Oh,
always be like, "Oh my God, look at that dog." And we would go like the two of us together. And that was one of the biggest things where I was like, I've met someone who understands me. And I've dated a bunch of people, look like, and I've dated people who are like dog people, but I've never had that level of connection with dogs with someone other than my husband. Like, we are literally like, I couldn't believe that there was someone nudging me in the street beforehand to look at a dog before I could even see that dog. Like, that's why I was like, wow, he gets it. Like, he gets it.
right.
But he had never actually I grew up with a dog. He never grew up with a dog. So he like didn't really know a lot of stuff, but the passion was there. That's all I need. That's all I needed. So
We'll take it.
once we got my baby, and for everyone listening, yes, I call him my baby, but I also know that he is a dog. I'm not the type of person to be like, he's my child. He's like
You're
a
like, I
human
birthed
child.
him.
No, he's literally a dog, and I want him to be a dog, and I don't want a child. Like, I like that he's not a child. It's like
Right.
the way that I put it, because like he's not. Like, there's many things that make him different, and that's what I love about him. Um, Once I got him, this is gonna sound crazy, and it would probably drive a lot of very close people in my life who want me to have kids crazy. Um, but I felt fulfilled.
Wow.
Literally within a month of getting
Wow.
my dog, and I was like, I think this is all I need. Like, this is the love that I have wanted and needed, and I want more dogs, and I'm planning my life to have more dogs. And I think that's what really made the switch in my brain when I was like, wait, I actually don't want a child. This is what I want. This is
Mhm.
what I want. And I've never wanted a child as much as I want this. And as much as I want more of this and many more dogs like this. And people think that's crazy. And I get it. Like, it's very different. It's not the norm. But it's enough for me.
It's what makes you
And that's what
happy.
made me, yeah, that like the fact that I've always planned to have a dog, and when is a dog going to fit in my life? How am I going to fit a dog in my life? And I've never once done that with a child. It was just kind of like,
Once, yeah.
yeah,
Once you made this like mental switch,
yeah,
was there a point where like you had to say to your friends and family, like, all right,
yes,
I'm with dog now, and I know I'm not with child. Like, was there a like a I have had this realization, or did you wait for people to bring it up to you? And I mean, I think what I mainly want to talk about is like, how has that been received? Like, do people try and
yeah,
change your mind? Because it is such a controversial thing. And I think most people in our world, with our culture, with our society, with social media, it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna, grow up, get married, and have kids and raise a family because that's what people do. And most people don't even stop to think, do I want that?
so really, really, really good questions. So in my case, it wasn't really like one day my husband and I are like, we don't want kids. It kind of morphed into that. Like, I think as we got older and as we got like more into our marriage, people just started asking us more. And in the beginning, especially, we would say, not right now, but we're like, not, and that was true. And that, to a certain extent, kind of still is true. Like, I am not going to sit here and be like, I'm never going to change my mind. Like, I could change my mind about a million things. And I think that's actually a strength of mine in my profession as well, that like, I'm always open to changing my mind about a lot of different areas. So like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, yes, this is going to be how my mind is made up when I'm 40 years old. I don't know. I don't know. Um, So at first, I think we kind of took that stance and we were like, we're open to changing our minds, but right now we don't want a kid. What I've come to learn is I think certain people don't really like that answer or take it as a way to pry a little bit more and like ask a little bit more and kind of questions that my husband and I are now starting to be like, okay, we don't want kids. Like, stop asking.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like I don't even have to add that disclaimer anymore. And I think I was adding the disclaimer, like, we're open to changing our minds because we didn't want to hurt some people's feelings.
Right.
Um, but I don't feel the need to add that anymore. So, like, I'm at the point now when people ask me, do you want kids? I say, no, I don't. And I leave it at that. Um, I'll just go a little bit deeper for what it's worth. My mom specifically is the most supportive person. And I think it goes back to even what I was telling you before. Like, she is probably the most, as a mom is in, I guess, like a lot of people's lives, the most influential person in my life, the person that
Mhm.
I'm like closest to other than my sister, and my husband. And she is and has always been extremely supportive of me not wanting kids. She has actually shared herself that if she had grown up in this generation, she's not sure if she would have wanted kids if
Wow.
she felt like there wasn't a choice for her.
Mhm.
She had a hard time getting pregnant with me. She got pregnant with my sister right away after that, and she was like, I'm done. Like, that's it for me. And she even said, like, there were times when she had struggled to get pregnant with me that she questioned why she was even doing any of that. Um, so I'm not sure that, like, I'm not sure that, like, it's that far off. Like, I think that I'm very similar to how she is. My dad doesn't understand it at all. He also doesn't understand dogs. So we're just like different there. Like, he's like, why do you have a dog and don't have a child? I'm like, Dad, because like a dog is a lot easier than taking care of a child. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Fact.
So it just, there are certain people in my life that haven't accepted it, probably will never accept it, but I don't really need their acceptance or approval. And I think that helps the fact that I have someone like my mom. And I think a lot of people don't have someone like that. And that makes it a lot harder.
Yeah. I think
So
also, at the end of the day, for anyone who like is struggling with like they know in their heart what they want and other people are trying to convince them, it's like, okay, well, you could have kids to appease the people that want you to have kids.
crazy. It's not a
That would
reason to
be
have
the
kids. Yeah.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
And they
Yeah.
wouldn't want you to have kids just to make them happy either.
Yeah. I also, well, you never know. But I also think that I'm like, we also, both my husband and I, which that's another thing, is like we have been so on the same page with this, which I think makes it easier too. Like, I think it would be really hard if one of us was like on the fence.
Mhm.
At this point, we now find ourselves in a situation where we're like, God, thank God we don't have that. Like, we really are just very like aligned in that
Mhm.
sense. Like, and a lot of our friends have kids and we're so happy for them and we love their kids 100%. But I would be lying if I said we don't get home from like spending an afternoon with their kids and being like, oh, like,
Right.
thank God. We went to my niece's like birthday party and someone said to us, like, look around, like, how can you not want this? And I was literally flabbergasted. I
You're
was
like,
like,
"Look around, how could I want this?"
I'm so uncomfortable right now. Like, I don't really know what to do in this
Yeah.
situation. Like, this is not the situation that I would want to be in. And I think those realizations throughout the years are just like, oh wow, like I really don't. Like, if anything, it's like cementing, like it would be so much easier if I could sit in that room and be like, I really want this. My
Mhm.
life would be so much freaking easier. I think it's, if anything, going in the opposite direction. So that's kind of where
Yeah.
I'm at.
How have you navigated friends, having kids, starting families, whether it's one baby or multiple, and, you know, lifestyles do change,
Yeah,
different priorities.
totally.
And I think for anyone who, is single while their friends are getting into relationships, getting married, or someone who doesn't have kids yet or doesn't want kids, and then their friends start having kids, the reality is things do change. How
Mhm.
have you and your husband navigated that in your friendships with people?
It hasn't been easy. It is hard because I think a lot of the times it's like you will make time to see your friends, but like life gets busy for everyone. And I haven't been like I have, one friend with multiple kids at this point, and it's been really, really hard to see her. And I feel bad because I feel like I have to see her in a capacity where I see her and all of her kids at the same time. And I'm not going to lie, like that's not really the most fun situation for me.
Mhm.
That being said, I have done it. I will do it, but it doesn't exactly make me think like, let me text her every weekend and like hang out with her and all of her kids all the time. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So it's hard. I think that it takes a level of work from each side. I think obviously as the person without the kid, I have to put in more work to see them. And I think that the people that I want to be close with, I'm happy to put in that work.
It doesn't feel
But
like work.
it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like work. But at the same time, there are some people who maybe I wasn't as close with who have had kids who I'm like, it does kind of go both ways, and I hate to say that, but like if you're never texting me ever and I'm reaching out and asking how you are and you're never ever texting me, like I just don't understand how that is a friendship
Right.
anymore. So I think I'm also like I'm not going to lie, I am pretty good at just like not texting people, and like I said, I let things go really easily. So like if you're in a period of your life where it's like dramatic and there's a lot going on and you reconnect with me in 5 years, I will reconnect with you. Like I'm not going to be the person to be like, "You weren't there the last 5 years. Where have you
Right.
been?" Like I'll be like, "Cool, we have more time to hang out. Let's go hang out." Like sounds
Right.
great to me. You know what I mean? So I'm not like I don't hold a grudge. I understand people have like, a lot of responsibilities in their life, especially when they have kids. I think what I've been struggling with is I also like even though I don't have kids, I still have a lot of things going on. So I kind of struggle with it being like, okay, well everything has to be on you because you're the one without the kids. And
Mhm.
it's like, well, I got shit to do. Like I like to go to bed at 8 p.m.
Right.
That's what I like to do. I have a full business that I'm running, and I have a dog, and I put a lot of work into him, even though most people wouldn't. So it's not like I'm just sitting here twiddling my thumbs, like waiting for people to hang out with me. And I think that that's what I'm struggling with is like I start to get a little bit irritated when people expect me to do more. And I'm
Mhm.
just like, wait a second, like I have a life too. Like I'm doing things too. I might not have kids in it. And you are more busy than me, but that doesn't mean I'm busy too. I'm not busy. You know what I
Correct.
mean?
100%. And I think also, I do think there's an added layer, and correct me if I'm wrong, or if this is just something that I experience, but as
Hmm.
someone who posts on social media,
Yeah.
if you are ever, posting, but you can't hang out, or posting a video, but, you couldn't go to that thing, or you haven't responded to somebody's text about something yet, it, I feel like sometimes I feel like I can't post because I haven't responded to a text.
Yeah. Oh, all of the time. This is actually something that I've brought up with my husband in the last like year or two because I feel like especially like millennials like our generation, when people see you on a phone, like I think people immediately think you're not working.
Hmm.
And like I have had to say, and not that my husband is annoying about this at all, but like I've literally had to say like I'm actually working right now. Like this is work. I know it looks like I'm like lackadaisically texting people, but like no, like this is work.
Like, no, you're
And
responding to Alana's
it's this
text and
it's
question
yeah,
about her run.
right. It's the same as me being as you sitting on your laptop and doing things,
Yeah.
and people would be like, "Oh, I'm not going to bother him." Like it's the same thing. Like, yeah, I'm on the couch. My legs are up.
Mhm.
I'm on my phone, but that's work.
Right.
And so I think that is a really big piece that I've also had to accept myself. And I've had to put boundaries on that too, as I'm sure you know as well. Um, but yeah, with the posting and all of that stuff, it's like, yeah, like that, I'm not just like posting a reel like for fun. Yeah, it is fun, I guess, but like it's work. And
Mhm.
that's what I'm doing right now. And that means I might not respond to my text. I might not like be 100% present in a room that I'm in because I'm working.
Yeah.
So,
When it comes to presence, how much of your brain space
hmm.
in some situations, like I'm trying to phrase this properly. Like, I think what I'm trying to get at is how much of you gets like pulled into what is happening online, whether it's comments, whether it's
Mm.
DMs, whether it's you see something else that, like rubs you the wrong way. Or I know, for example, like the Advil thing, you know what I'm talking about. Other people
Yeah.
don't need to know what I'm talking about. But like
Yeah.
when something like that, when you see something that you disagree with, when you see something that you as a professional in the fitness space, when you see something that is harmful, like how much is that impacting you? Because I
A
feel like
lot.
you put your heart into everything that you do.
A lot more than I'd probably like to admit. And like, I am getting better at that type of stuff and like setting boundaries that allow me to not like stew in it for as long. But like, something about me too is like, I get irrationally angry when I see something that I consider as like injustice or like harmful to people. Like, it is just, that's how I am as like a human being outside of work too. So that really gets me riled up, like probably more so. That's actually probably why I'm on Instagram, because like I would be scrolling and see things and be like, that's wrong
Right.
and harmful information. Like, someone has to do something about this. And so I feel that like very hard in my life, also just like politically to a certain point too. I'm a little bit limited just because, my status in the US is a little bit like iffy. So
Mm.
I can't be as like vocal about certain things, but that is how I am as a person. Like, if I see something and I'm like, that's harmful for other people, there is nothing that gets me more worked up. Like, honestly, I could, and probably not, probably not a good thing. Like, I wish that I could see something and be like, okay, let's make this like productive. And I think sometimes I do end up doing that by like making my own posts and
Mhm.
things like that. And some of that is fueled by that anger. But your question, I think, was more directed like, it takes up a lot of my brain space. And in order to not let that like lose multiple nights sleep and like completely derail my life, I have to have boundaries on social media. I have to have boundaries with my phone. And I think that also goes back to, I also have to have boundaries with like some of my friendships too. Like, if people only want to hang out at 10 p.m., I'm sorry, they're never going to see me. Like,
Mhm.
it's just something that like I'm not willing to give up, because I know that I can't function as a person. I can't do my job well if like I don't get my right amount of sleep. So those are things that certain people, like a lot of my friends, kind of make fun of my husband and I for the fact that like we go to bed really early, and we do say no to plans after a certain time, and we like hang out with people on the earlier side of things. Like, a lot of people make fun of us for that, and I'm good with it. Like, make fun of us, because
Yeah.
that's how we are. Um but that is very much a boundary that I have just in my life, because I know that I'm just like better, I feel better, I'm able to do my running better, I'm able to do my business better when I get like a full night's sleep. And that's just how I am. And that's a boundary that I have. And that also lets me clear my mind.
Right.
So when I have like a bad day, or when I see a certain post, or when something happens, I put down my phone. I usually put it down at like 6:30. I watch a Netflix show. Like, that really helps. I read a book before we go to bed, and then we're in bed at 8:30.
Mm.
And like, that's, people can make fun of us for it, but that's like how it is. And my husband and I are both the same way, actually. So
And that's what
yeah,
matters. That's what matters.
yeah, exactly.
Jake and I went to the Comedy Cellar on Sunday. We went to the 6 o'clock show, and one of the
Yeah.
comedians, Jared Freed, who we went to
Oh,
see,
I love
was
Jared
like,
Freed.
"You guys are the 6 o'clock Sunday crew. You are all the same, because you were all like, let's sign up for this, and we'll be in bed by 9." And we're all like, "Yes, that is
Yes,
correct. I wouldn't
yes,
want to be at the 7:30 show." And in
right.
fact, we're coming on Sunday, not on Saturday, because on Sunday there are earlier shows.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I think that a lot of people are very different. Like I think people can like flourish at nighttime. Like I think a lot of people can do their best work and like, you know, really be focused and like have a lot of fun and all of that stuff. I'm just not like that. Like
Yeah.
my brain literally, like after 6 or 6:30 p.m., unless like you text me or like a client has like a big issue, like
Which I try
I'm,
not to at night now because
and that's
you, yeah.
and look, like I actually don't mind when people text me. And like I've told you before, like if you text me and I don't respond, like that's just me being like, I
Right.
literally am
Can't
not
respond
like
right now.
I can't respond right now. Like I just need this time. And I know that I'm going to have a better response in the morning anyways. So like, that's just, you know, and I say that to all my clients and every single person has been understanding. Like, it's just
Yeah.
it's not even an issue. But I find like if I try and push past that, like I sleep way worse. I do a worse job. Like at this point, I'm like, I'm not even gonna like argue with people who like think that I should do things differently because I've tried that before and it does not work for me. So
Well,
I don't really
you
have a
know
choice.
yourself, and that's like
Yeah.
the best thing you can do.
Yep.
Okay, one
Yep.
question I am really curious to ask you, and then we
Yeah.
will so sadly wrap up. But you mentioned your sister's a psychologist. I have
Yes.
a lot of therapists on seeing other people. What
Love
is
it.
it like having a sister who is one?
She is, I can't believe like I'm just kind of bringing her up for the first time now at the end of this podcast, but my sister is probably the best person that I've ever known in my life. She's my younger sister and I look up to her. Like she is, I could actually start crying right now. She's the kindest, I'm sorry. She's the kindest person I've ever met in my whole life. And she is literally the best part of my life. Um, sorry. I don't know why I just got emotional. But to have her as a psychologist would be amazing because she's so smart. She takes her work very seriously. And I learn so much from her, like every single day, just about psychology, about understanding other people. Um, and to have someone like that in your life is like truly, truly a blessing. Someone that you can cheer for, that cheers for you, that you know, like always has everyone's best interest at heart. And like I can learn so much from her there because I'm a little bit like colder sometimes, and I can be more like I can cut people off. I can do all that. Like she really has a heart of gold. So just to have someone like that is really truly something special and something that I wish for everyone. Like if I didn't have her, I don't know, I'd probably be a much worse person because I wouldn't have her to look up to. But she's really great. So I don't even know if I'm answering your question.
I don't
But
know if you are
that's how
either, but it
she
was
is.
perfect.
Yeah.
I can't see someone else cry and not
I
cry
know.
myself.
Sorry.
So I started tearing up. But that's so special, and I'm so happy for you that you have her, and she
Yeah.
sounds incredible.
Yeah.
Okay. We wrap up with this one last question. What is the best piece of dating or relationship advice you have ever received or have to give?
I could go in so many directions. I think the most important thing that I've ever heard is that it's not like finding a partner is less about like finding someone like you can hear all of the classic like, oh, look for your like best friend and soulmate and all of that stuff. I think a true partner goes a little bit deeper than that. Like my husband and I were different, but we have the same values, we have the same morals, we understand each other, and he is my teammate through and through. Like with everything. With sharing our, you know, like our household chores, with sharing our dog, with you know, cheering each other on in our professions. I have never met a single other person who makes me think like, wait, I should actually do the dishes because if I don't, he's going to. And and that makes me want to do the dishes because I know that he will take that up if I don't. I don't have to tell him to do it. I don't have to remind him about it. Like, it's not an extra, it's not like I have to remind him to do anything or like parent him about anything. Like, we just share everything in life equally. And I think that's, at least for the people who are similar to me, like, that goes so much further than like anything else and any of the romantic stuff. Obviously you want that. But like, to have someone who is truly 100% your partner and your teammate in like every level, it makes for like a long-term relationship more than anything else, in my opinion.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, that goes such a further way than like, oh, he opens the door for me. Like,
right.
You
It's
can
not
open
about
the door
chivalry.
too.
Right. It's not about
It's about
chivalry.
like
It's
working
about
together.
seeing as an equal, and also like, he goes out of his way to do things for me constantly, which makes me want to do things for him. And it's not because he's my husband. It's just because that's the way that he is. Like, he doesn't even think twice about certain things. And I think that's made our life together just like so much more than any of the other relationships that I had. Like, it's not because we're in a relationship. It's just because that's how he is. And if I could go back and like be like, why are you with this person? Like, cool, they take you on dates and things like that. They're fun, whatever. But like, to have someone truly like really care about you as a person and really do things for you and want to see you winning and succeeding at everything, and they will take time out of their day to help you do that. Like, that's something that I've never experienced with any other person I've been with. So yeah.
That. And that's what it's all about. That is what it's all about.
It truly is. It truly is. And that's how you can thrive.
Yeah.
To have support like that from someone.
100%.
You can thrive, and you can't I think you can't expect someone to be everything. Like, that's, if that was another piece of advice I'd give, just as we wrap this up, can't expect someone to be every single thing for you. And that's why I still maintain close friendships with my girlfriends, because I hate to say like, my husband is my best friend and my person, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, of course he's my best friend. He like knows me better than anyone, but like, he is my partner. Like, I don't need him to be 8 million different things, because I know that he sees me and he's there for me, and that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, we did this without talking about running, so go us.
Thank goodness.
That said, if anyone is interested in working with you, or listening to your podcast or following you, where can they find you?
Instagram, I'm the most active at Train Smart Run Strong. I also have a TikTok, same thing, Train Smart Run Strong. And then my website is also trainsmartrunstrong.com. So pretty easy to find me there. Yeah.
If you want to find her, she can be found. This has been everything I wanted it to be and more. So thank you so much for being here. And yeah, that's all I have to say. I worked out before this so that I
love it.
Yep. I sent you the video of those calf raises.
Oh, amazing. That's all I want to see. Perfect.